the F80 M3, one of the greatest driver cars BMW ever built. But this one, it was a nightmare in disguise.
Oh my gosh.
This is crumbled.
So we did something insane. We bought a second F80 M3 chassis.
We were the drivetrain
And ripped everything out of the original car. The wiring harness, it's a whole wiring harness. The suspension, the drivetrain, and transferred it all by hand to the good F80 M3 chassis. And we somehow succeeded. The car starts. Let's go! But unfortunately, this car is far from finished.
It still looks like it belongs in the assembly line. Time to change that.
The next 24 hours, that all changes. We're driving this car, we're finishing everything.
And most importantly, we're going to put back on the road a BMW M3 that was most likely going to end up looking like this. Wait, not like that, like this.
First things we're gonna start by doing is finishing up the interior. Obviously, we still gotta put this piece back. We gotta figure out where these wires go, loom everything to where it needs to go, put back the radio, the glove box, carpet, seats, rear trim. We have a lot.
Yeah, I'm in way over my head.
Let's go, baby.
Now, obviously, this is 24 hours in working time, meaning when I'm sleeping, eating, or pooping, the timer's gonna stop. But step one is the simple things, and that means putting all the wiring in place and all the plastic brackets, starting with the center console.
Well, our first speed bump. We have an issue with the armrest. So here's the thing. This piece right here, which is the bracket that holds it down to the chassis, and then the air vent goes on here, is broken, as you're seeing right there. Now, we do have another headrest, but unfortunately this one is pre-LCI, not as much technology as that one, so it doesn't really work. But I think I have a solution that I just thought about.
I noticed the plastic bracket isn't really built into the whole armrest. It's riveted on. So we're going to drill out the rivets and pretty much try to put it into the new armrest with a cool stitching that we're throwing on the car.
Take the broken one out and then just rivet this one back in. Let's go.
Now that it's out, it's time to throw it onto the other one. But before we do that, we have to remove the armrest, which is being held on by these two little springs. It wasn't extremely difficult, so we got it off just fine.
Okay, we're waiting for the very strong body panel glue to finish gluing the armrest. Now, do you notice where I went wrong here? I forgot to put on the mats or the carpet before doing any of this.
That's what happens when we get a little too excited. But with that being said, let's throw on the carpet and throw on the brackets and the wiring for a third time. It shouldn't be too difficult at this point. Like I said, we have a bunch of pictures and videos and we already did it a bunch. So after all that is in, we can throw on the armrest. But we have to be very careful because we can't bolt it down yet. We have to connect everything that's inside of the armrest before we can bolt it down. And it is so cool seeing this interior come together. I can't wait. Next up, the steering wheel trim pieces. And we can't forget about the e-brake boot with the nice M stitching. Ooh. As well as the carbon fiber holder, I guess you could say, or handle. So sick.
Making really good progress on the dash. Now we're gonna start putting on the CD player, screens, all that fun stuff. Let's go. We're at about 21 hours left. Going a little slow, but we're gonna get there. We got this. And I'm sure you guys are wondering, I am pretty much wiping everything down, trying to get all the dust off.
CD player going in. We need Apple CarPlay and all that good stuff. Before throwing on the center console trim pieces, we have to throw on the AC vent. This vent goes from the bottom of the dash all the way to the rear seats. And with those things fully in, we can throw on the cup holders and the trim pieces. As well as the long carbon fiber trim piece for the dash that holds the middle AC vents, the hazard lights, and the on-lock. Oof, can't forget about this little AC vent. In Florida, we need as many vents as possible.
Driver's side airbag. We're almost done. Actually, we're not even almost done with the interior, but we're making progress with the interior. We have 19 hours and 7 minutes left. We wasted an hour, and I just spent the past 10 minutes looking for my microphone. But with that being said, first time installing an airbag. It's not cool, just this airbag on it. But something super unfortunate, our driver assistance setting that goes right there, well, it's broken. We have to order one. Hopefully it gets here soon. Oh, I believe it's like that. Yeah, it goes like this. And then the studs back here that came with this airbag is for the plastic panel that goes over.
Installing this airbag was a breeze, and what's really interesting is these airbags only have one plug, compared to the steering wheel airbag which has 2 plugs. After we get it in place, we can fully button it down, and then we can throw on the plastic piece. That makes everything look much nicer. After that, we can move on to the footwell side panel, which also holds the lever so we can pop the hood. I feel like that's something we're gonna have to do a lot more often than I want to. Jokes aside, hopefully not. I want this car to last me a lifetime, and it's gonna be the new daily, so I truly can't wait. Before we throw on the rear seats, we need to throw on, I guess you could say, the carpet that goes under the seats.
I'm gonna admit something, I totally forgot how long it takes to put back a whole F80 M3 interior, but it is time to start putting on the rear seats.
I cannot get over the steering wheel. I don't know if it's OEM or if it's aftermarket or if it's a mix of both, but it looks incredible. The suede that's on it doesn't look great anymore, but it still looks amazing, and it's going to go on the car. So let's throw on the steering wheel. It slides right into place, then it's being held on by a big bolt right in the middle. After that, we can throw on the airbag, connect the 2 plugs, and then clicks right into place. When it comes down to the headliner, we gotta put in the sun visors. Why? I don't really have to explain that.
This scam of a car or that scam of a car keeps getting funnier. So I was told at the shop, oh, the airbag is already in it. You don't have to buy any airbags. This is one of the airbags they gave me. Well, the only one. This is for a Nissan Altima.
Obviously, we can't forget about more of the rear, one of these big panels on each side. And then these 2 little panels on the top of the rear headrest. And in typical Florida fashion, it started raining like the world was ending.
Oh my gosh!
We're about 85% done with the interior, and if you're wondering, well, we have about 17 hours left.
Now the very last thing we need from the bad chassis in regards to the interior is the seatbelts with the M stitching on them. Look how sick that is.
Obviously, we have to remove the existing seatbelts, but look how seat these are. I know I've mentioned it before, but absolutely lovely. And now we can start throwing the seat bolts right into the car. There's one big bolt that holds it at the bottom, one bolt that holds it at the top, and the third bolt goes connected to the seat itself. Can't forget about the guide bracket. In between the door and the chassis of a car, there's a molding. And that molding is another thing that needs to be put on the car. It's all these little things that take so much time.
Ugh, ladies and gentlemen, it is finally that time. We're putting on or in the M3 competition seats. Obviously, this car is an M3 comp. It does come with these aggressive, just incredible looking seats. Get the black M3 badge. Man, I just love these seats.
Unfortunately, this whole plastic seat control is broken. This is what moves the seat forward and back, and it's a vital piece. The bracket that holds it in, completely broken.
Cameras, it's what I use to create these incredible videos that take so long and you guys watch. So today's sponsor is truly a special one I never thought would be possible if it wasn't for you guys. Massive thank you to Insta360 for sponsoring today's video. And today we're featuring their Instago 3S and their Insta360 Ace Pro 2. These cameras are wild. The Ace Pro 2 is the ultimate everyday driver. It has so many modes like photo and turbo, burst photo, star lapse, low motion, loop recording if you want to use it as a dash cam, pure video which gives you that incredible view. And most importantly, it's stunning 8K video quality at 30 FPS. This thing is drop dead gorgeous. If I were to start YouTube right now, I would probably use this camera because it can pretty much do everything and more. The mounting is still really simple and cool. This is one of the little mounts from the Insta360. Just click it in, boom, just like that. And then you want to take it off, press these two little things. That's easy. Now, if you want to capture really cool, unique angles, that's where the Go 3S comes in. This little thing the size of my thumb shoots in 4K, and I mean, the shots for this are beyond your imagination. It's got a Mega View FOV for ultra wide shots without distortion, and its magnetic design lets you mount it anywhere, helmets, pets, or even your car's hood. It's a magnetic backing, so this is the camera. You can separate it. It goes connected with a magnet, so you can put it on any surface and use different mounts. For example, this is the little mount that I use to put it on the door, the fender, the hood, everywhere to get the cool shots of me driving around. For example, this is another mount for the Go 3S. Just magnets on, and I mean, you can get as creative as you want with this little camera. And if you want to mount the body of the Go 3S as well, we got this little mount. Clip it on just like that, and well, that's never coming off. Look at that. With voice control and gesture recognition, start recording without even lifting a finger. And you can also control both cameras to the Insta360 app. It takes seconds to download it, and on there you can pretty much do everything. Well, I will leave the link in the description. Thank you so much to Insta360 for sponsoring today's video. What a blessing. What an absolute blessing. Let's get back, because we have an M3 to finish. I always forget how heavy these seats are. The whole seat is broken. I'm hoping this thing moves, because look at that. That's terrible.
Yet another piece we're gonna have to spend money on fixing for the seat. And voila, the interior for the F80 M3 is done. It's insane that when we got it, it looked like this, and now it looks like this.
You don't realize how many little parts of the interior there is until you put something completely back together from scratch. With that being said, let's move on to the panels, starting with the doors. Let's see if I can put these doors on by myself. So I'm thinking we'll get these two bolts. Then I have this little chair, which I'm gonna set it on top. Then I'm gonna get the bolt. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is heavy. I gotta leave y'all over there.
This thing is heavy. If BMW were to build a tank, this would actually be the hatch.
Let's go. Door is on. But one door down, 3 more to go. 15 hours left, and look how this car's looking. Unacceptable.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have doors. I repeat, we have doors. Forget weddings, forget graduations, forget everything else. We have doors.
We're taking this cover off because we gotta get to the bolts that are holding this to the trunk.
And holding this trunk onto the chassis of the car is only 4 bolts total. 2 on each side, then we disconnect the harness from inside of the car. But let me tell you, this thing was heavy.
Oh my goodness, I got a cramp on my back. Ow.
And there goes one more body part on Sally, which is actually turning into Veronica. So you could say this car is now fully, almost Veronica. Kevin was around, so he was nice enough to help us throw on the hood because this is definitely a two-person job.
Big moment right here. We got a functioning hood. Let's go. Now we can go onto the fenders, and we're getting there little by little.
But before then, we have to throw on the windshield washer reservoir, which actually sits right under the fender.
By the way, I didn't know this, but each one of these fenders is $1,300. And as I was saying before, I'm just getting all the panels on. We're painting the car, so we're gonna fix all the gaps at the shop.
Everything was going too smooth. When putting on the fender, I noticed the bracket is actually extremely bent, which is weird, but it's not an issue because we have a bracket from the other chassis. We're just going to transfer, and look at that. The fender fits perfectly now.
$1,300 fender number 2 going on. It is insane that we're seeing this car come to life, literally. Started from literal scratch that you would throw in junkyard. I mean, that's pretty much what I'm doing with that shell. It came just like that.
After fenders comes the regular, the side skirts. These bad boys clip up top, and then at the bottom there's a bunch of little 10mm that just go drilled in, and that's how you throw side skirts on.
If the fenders are $1,300 a pop, I don't even want to know how much these are. To throw on the rear bumper, this big piece, that's way bigger than I thought, needs to go onto here because this is where the rear bumper bolts to. So I believe it goes like this. There we go. Then 1, 2, 3 bolts. Now we do the other side, and the bumper should be good to put on. Comment below, what is your favorite part of the F80? The rear end with a nice meaty quad tip exhaust, or the front end?
And this bumper looks absolutely beautiful. The F80s have one of the coolest rear ends ever. And in comes the LCI taillights. This on the screen is a really good comparison. You can see the LCI compared to the pre-LCI.
I messed up. This is actually for the exhaust flap, and the one that I threw down there is actually for the light.
Mission recover the plug. Throw down the wire, wrap it around the plug, pull up the plug, drop the other plug. That's for the exhaust. Success.
Yeah.
But the hardest part of all this has to be the little details. The little plastic pieces like this that you can't forget to throw on because it's just not gonna look nice. And just like that, another iconic part of this car is finished. Look how complete that looks. All we're missing is the front end.
Behind me, we have everything we need to turn this almost complete BMW M3 into a complete running and driving BMW M3. We're gonna get into how I'm gonna put everything back because I genuinely have no idea how to do so. But first of all, when I picked up the bad M3, they told me they had every piece I needed to rebuild the car, including a radiator stack. Well, upon further inspection, I double-checked the radiator stack. Do you guys see that Mopar logo? This is for a Dodge Charger.
The scam gets worse and worse. Or maybe my stupidity. Either way, we have a Dodge Charger SRT radiator stack. If anybody wants it, well, let me know.
Now, it's really not that funny because a whole radiator stack off of eBay is $1,500. Thankfully, we are really good friends with Naughty Auto Parts, and they sent out a whole radiator stack. That looks much more like a BMW radiator stack. Oh my gosh, that's beefy.
You've heard me talk about Naughty Auto Parts forever in like every single video, but we truly just have to give them a massive thank you once again. They dismantle BMWs. So if you're looking for any parts that you can't find and you need right away, reach out to them. I'm sure they're gonna have it, and tell them I sent you. And honestly, the heat exchanger looks really rough. Because they just threw it in for me, I needed one just to get the car running. So if it works, good. If not, it's definitely my fault.
Oh, Danny, you know where all the cooling system goes and you know how everything's routed, right? Nope, I do not. that's what we're gonna be using this. Is it gonna help? I hope. I don't know. I'm really nervous right now, but we got the schematics out. Pretty much goes how everything's routed is. Here we got the radiator, the 2 auxiliary radiators. And here we also have other schematics. I'm not feeling confident, but I think we're well equipped. We also have the internet, videos. First order of matter, we should start with the AC because it is hot in Florida and we need AC. Obviously provided by... Oh no.
I wish I could make this up. The bracket that the AC goes on is cracked, broken, and it's missing where the AC threads to. So now we have to wait on that.
Let's continue on with other important things.
Now we're redoing the whole cooling system because we're missing hoses, but a lot of them look like this, which we do not want.
And in with the new AC, not AC line. I'm like stressed with the AC with the new coolant pipe. The other one wasn't terrible, but it was squished. It was kinked. We don't want to run that because we want to go on a massive road trip with this car and we want it to be 100%. Boom, boom. This one goes connected to the one from up here, just like that. And I believe this goes right to the heat exchanger that goes up, or the intercooler that goes up there.
We can't forget this big plastic trim piece that goes in the back of the engine because a lot of things go over it. And if this doesn't go first, we're gonna have to take everything apart. Also, in regards to the time we have left, I peaked a little bit ago and I'm not proud of it. So I'm not even going to mention it, but let's just say we gotta keep up the pace. You'll see very soon. Can't forget about the coolant reservoir. This is where all the coolant sits for the radiator and the engine itself. Very important. And check out this hose. I could have easily missed this. Unfortunately, I can't figure out how it goes mounted. Nothing makes sense. Literally nothing makes sense. But one hose goes connected to it from the bottom, as well as a plug.
I think it goes mounted to the metal brace that goes across the engine bay. I'm gonna connect all the hoses to it, and then we're gonna mount it up here after we put the brace on, and hopefully that's the issue.
Out with the old hose coming from the water pump, and in with the new hose.
Have you guys ever seen a coupler like this? This is normal, but this is how it locks onto the heat exchanger. I don't even know how this works. Okay, so this part goes in the throttle body. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it on the throttle body first, and then it's gonna be way easier to just put the charged air cooler up here.
Weird indeed, but even more tricky to get it on. There really is limited space in this side of the engine. There's so many things going on. It's definitely not a fun install. To the point where I even wondered if I got so badly scammed that this isn't even the same intake manifold, but thankfully it is, and we got it in.
Now, I think we're good to go. I feel like when we put this on the car or in the engine bay, it's gonna finally start looking like a proper M3. So I believe this goes up here just like that.
After we got everything in place, we need to be 100% sure we got everything tightened down. Last thing we want is some type of leak because we were in a hurry to finish in time to beat the challenge.
Now we gotta figure out what goes here, but as we're looking at the diagram, it comes out of there into number 13, which goes to the top of the radiator. So now we gotta find the hose that looks like that. It's not this one, I don't think. I think it's this one. And another reason we can tell is because we have this plastic piece still on, and it is actually still on this line. So, boom,
Now, here's where things get a little crazy. I found this coolant pump underground, and I realized it's actually for the car. I thought we already had it, and it was the one on the driver's side part of the engine bay, but no. This car has a total of 4 coolant pumps. 3 electrical, 1 mechanical. This one that sits on the driver's side of the car, this one that sits right next to the turbo, this one that sits right behind the radiator, and then for the mechanical, well, it's the one that sits right in front of the engine.
Next up on the list, before we throw on the radiator or the core support, let's change out the pulleys and tensioners that we purchased from FCP Euro. Massive thank you to them. They're always helping out the channel.
Even though these pulleys and tensioners look pretty much new because the car only has 22,000 miles, the fact that it's been sitting for almost 5 years kind of sketches me out to leave them on.
Something else thankfully I noticed and I'm prepared for is right here, the oil cooler lines are kinked. Now, I think I can run it like this, but Naughty Auto Parts was awesome enough to send me out new lines So we're gonna go ahead and throw them on. Before then though, we have to drain the car of oil, and we have to remember it doesn't have oil before we try to start it again for the first time. Also, I know the laptop was down for a little bit charging, but the timer's still going. Oof. Currently at 14 hours and 30 minutes.
14 hours left to complete this front end, throw in new axles, bleed the brakes, bleed the coolant, add some oil, finish all the little details, and get this car on the road. Is it possible? I don't know. We shall see. But another silly thing, I did notice they put the oil cooler backwards. Oh boy, that's a mess. Oh my gosh, that's a mess.
Look at this beauty of a water cooler. Wait, what's it called? Charged water air cooler? I don't even know, but this thing is starting to look more like an M3 or an M4. Here we go now with the chassis leg extensions. Is that how you say it? I'm not sure, but this goes in and then this goes bolted on. And what goes on here is the oil cooler. Very, very cool. Boom.
If you really think about it, building a car from scratch is pretty much like building a big Lego. But I'm gonna be completely honest, I've never in my life built a Lego. I don't know, I've never been into it. And of course, after doing structural things, you have to test it.
Chassis leg on. BMW certified. Let's do the other one. Crazy enough, this is where the oil cooler for this car goes. It's basically pointing towards the ground. It's telling the rocks, hey, come here, just hit me real quick. BMW, what were you thinking?
Yeah, and that is the reason why you see so many F80 M3s at auction with seized engines.
Here we go. Time for the radiator stack. It's heavy.
Getting the radiator to fall into the mounts was definitely a challenge.
How nasty this is. Before I continue to connect more hoses, I do want to put this frame on because I want to make sure everything's fitting properly.
This goes buttoned down, and now we can actually throw on the auxiliary radiator, at least one of the two. And look how good that looks. Now time to throw on the scoops, and this car has a ton, starting with the top scoop, which has little scoops on each side that go right into the intake. After that, we got the bottom scoop, which we could say goes right into the radiator and the heat exchanger. I don't know, all we can say is German engineering. They know what they're doing, I'm just installing the parts. And let me tell you, it feels incredible knowing the brace fits like it should. Look how incredible it sits into place, compared to the tweaked chassis, which never fit properly. And even better, I was right. The coolant reservoir bolts right up to the brace. Almost forgot the scoops for the auxiliary radiators. Pretty important. To make sure the air's going right where it needs to go through that bumper. And now that is a nice piece of what you call German engineering. But I have a feeling we don't have a lot of time left on the clock, and we have a good amount of things to do still.
24-hour challenges are no joke. Whose idea was it to do a 24-hour challenge? Because I simply can't... Oh, it was your idea. Okay. It was my idea. You know why? Because we gotta push each other. We do all these big projects, we gotta push it. We're pretty much almost there. We have some really good news on the wiring. So we found where 2 more plugs go that we don't have, and that's awesome. So I believe this little sensor that came with the whole front end that Nor sent us is to calculate the outside temperature. And this ripped harness came with the car. Blue and brown and blue and red wire, which we thankfully found in the harness. So now we know where this plug goes, and we also know where this one goes. Funny enough, it actually goes all the way down the side skirt to this very sensor. As you can see, the wires are ripped.
Little bit of soldering to fix the wires for the sensor.
Okay, since there's barely anything left to do on that car, we're not done removing everything from the bad chassis. We have to remove the axles and the rear struts. Oh, as well as the rotors and brakes. That's important too.
There's one thing that costs a lot of money, and I'm not sure if it even works, and that is the headlights. This car came with Icon headlights, meaning they're worth a lot of money. But as you can see, they have holes in them, they're missing modules, and well, I don't know if they work 100%.
I'm gonna be completely honest, I have no idea how these go mounted. Like, absolutely no idea.
Unfortunately, since all the brackets are broken, it's only being held on by one bolt.
Now this side, I think the headlight is good. It has all the brackets. Unfortunately, it's missing this module, top module, this module. But since I know the headlight is good, or should be, I got the modules.
The modules were a couple $100s, but if it means the headlight works 100%, I'm okay with spending that much. And this one is good because it has all the brackets and it's kind of brand new, you could say. We really are running out of time, so let's try to take these axles out, because I have a feeling it's gonna take forever.
Okay, I've been trying to take these axles for the last like hour and a half. It's terrible. I can't get them out, so we gotta move on to the next thing because we have like 2 hours left. From eBay, we've just got what we have been waiting for to finish off the front end, and that is the AC bracket. The one that broke off. Well, now we can throw it on, finish everything, and yeah, here we go. I gotta see how I can put this on though. I gotta take out the alternator. There's a lot.
Thankfully, we have really good amount of room to remove and throw on the new AC bracket. It's only being held on by a couple bolts, and it comes right off, and we can sleep the new one right on. I believe this bracket came off an X5. The one thing about European cars I've noticed, they use the same part number for a lot of different cars. After that's in, we can throw in the new belt, which wasn't great, but it wasn't too bad. And in regards to the axles, I barely filmed anything because it was such a headache, and they're still in the car. We're running out of time. Things are really not looking great at this moment.
AC is in, all the lines are ran, everything is tight. We have to put the intakes on, but unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you can see this, but 50 minutes and 27 seconds left. I really thought I was gonna do this, and I think we still can, but there's one big issue. The axles are seized on the M3. I simply can't get it off. And well, we still have to put the intakes, we still have to put the rotors and rear brakes, we have to bleed the brakes. That's it, but the axles are seized on the car. So with that being said, I think we failed, but with the time we have left, we're gonna finish this. I'm gonna finish the whole engine bay, everything, button it up, and then we can go back to trying to take the axles off, and then that's gonna be the big stepping stone to finally driving this car. It is time to install the intake system, how the car breathes, and well, there are two. One for each turbo, because this car is twin turbo. Pipe comes out of the turbo and then into this one. Oh my, it's an actual car. Look at this. This is insane.
Funny enough, I have one regular intake and one random carbon fiber, which looks very faded intake.
Just because we didn't do it in 24 hours doesn't mean we're not gonna finish and get that first drive we've been working so hard to get. This piece is what truly turns it into an M3. Oh, it does fit, it does fit.
The most important part of this car is finished. If you told me we would be here right now a couple weeks ago, I would have simply laughed. Genuinely, I was terrified to take on this project. But here we are. Not fully done yet, but making an insane amount of progress. And we were also able to remove the axles. All we had to do was go to AutoZone and purchase a CV axle puller. What this does is it clamps onto the sides of the hub and it pushes in the axle. In our case, it was really seized on from the car sittings for so long, so it worked perfectly. After throwing the axles back into the good car, we can throw on the rotors, throw on the brakes, and the rear end is close to being done.
What if I told you it is literally almost 12 at night? We still haven't finished the car. Thankfully, we were able to put both axles in the rear. We still need to do the exhaust, bleed the brakes, bleed the clutch, and then I think we can go for the first drive.
What if I told you I forgot to connect the hood latch to the hood latch release? Yes, the same thing that happened with my Audi a couple months ago happened again, except this time, thankfully, I didn't close the hood all the way. That's really the face of someone that's defeated. Well, let's throw in some oil in the car, and if you haven't already and you're watching this far into the video, hit that subscribe. Let's get to 500,000 subscribers. I promise if you do that, I'll continue to make the best videos possible. And remember that ground cable that we ripped? Yeah, it arrived, but it cost me a total of $60 for that little thing. I know, insane. But it's good now. We can happily throw on the exhaust, meaning we're almost at the end. We're almost at the finish line. This car has stock catalytic converter, stock exhaust, except I did see it has an auto works mid pipe, which makes the car sound a tad bit better and louder. Except I already have the craziest exhaust for this car from our buddies over at Valvetronic. Exhaust is on, meaning now we can go ahead and bleed the brakes using my favorite tool. We pump pressure into the master cylinder and then we can go to all the brake calipers, break them loose, and that's how we bleed it, as well as the clutch itself. I didn't think it was gonna work for it, but it actually did. And we have clutch feel now, which is great. Here we go. The car is complete. A car that somehow has turned into my dream and my nightmare at the same time has been completed after starting from scratch. All that's left to do is add coolant, buy a battery, bleed the system, and then we can drive it for the first time.
Oil is in the car. Next up, another important point is the cooling system. And we got some baby water. I stole it from my niece that just came over, actually. So we gotta mix this with this, and we get the perfect formula. Now we gotta add some power to the car and allow it to do its own bleeding procedure. Thankfully, BMW has that feature. Now, as many of you know, the battery that this car came with is not even original or BMW or good at all. So I actually went to BMW to buy a battery for this car. And the price, it's gonna make you throw up. A battery for my F80 M3 was going to cost me $2,700. I definitely did not spend that, but I did buy a battery from BMW. I forgot to connect the battery before closing the trunk. Where's the battery cable? Actually, I'm gonna tell you guys. I bought a BMW 340i battery for $340. It's honestly the same car. It's the same car. The other battery is lithium. That's why it's so expensive, but I'm not paying $2,700 for a battery like that, especially when I just bought my first supercar. If you stay till the end of this video, plot twist, coming soon.
Battery is in. Yes, the car has oil, so we can take off this no oil sign. Here we go, baby. After so much work, we're actually gonna do this. I am so nervous. Every time I shift the gear, the car tells me what gear I'm in, meaning all of those electronics and everything is working perfectly. And weirdly enough, when I go to map, it still shows I'm in New York, where this car crashed, meaning, is this the same road this car crashed in and then it just kind of saved the data and that's where it thinks I'm still in? because that would be insane. All we have to do now is put it to 84 degrees at low setting, hit the gas pedal, and that's gonna start BMW's bleeding procedure. And another thing I noticed is the driver's side headlight is not working, but the passenger side is, which is great. We're just going to have to fix those tabs somehow. And I'm thinking the driver's side isn't working because it is missing this top module. Unfortunately, this car is so dramatic, it turned the heat exchanger into a sprinkler system, meaning coolant is spewing everywhere. But that's not gonna stop us from at least driving it around the block at least. Crazy? Why did this car just turn into a shit? Okay, I at least need to go forward and back. It's moving! It's moving! It's moving! Okay. Oh, no brakes. Barely any brakes. Let's go forward. Yeah! He went forward and back. The car is still smoking like an absolute chimney. Now I'm wondering, did it never smoke before because there was never coolant in the system the first few times I started it? And now there is coolant in the system, meaning a bad head gasket, or possibly the turbos are shot. You really never know. We could say first drive because they removed under-tone power, barely any brakes, but I really hope that's not the head gasket, because if it is, that's a massive issue. A massive issue. It shouldn't be, but let's just wait till we get the heat exchanger, do the whole bleeding procedure properly. I don't understand how it could be the head gasket because it's not like we've started the car that long with no coolant, and it did have coolant. It was spewing out, but the car still had coolant in it. But if there's one thing for sure is we're going to end it on a positive. This car looked like this. And in close to 30 hours of non-stop work, we turned it into this. My dream F80 M3. That might need a new engine, but still, my dream F80 M3. Completely from scratch. I love you guys. Thank you so much for your support. Also, we just reached 300K subscribers. From the bottom of my heart, in the most awkward stance of all time, thank you. You guys have changed my life, Christabel's life, everybody's life, and this is the greatest family ever, man. Like, just thank you.